Okay, guys, we're back. All right, so this is 3D modeling. So we've gone ahead and made a real simple drawing of this. So you guys will be working this with layers as well, right? So the one thing that I haven't done here is actually put these on various layers. So if we use layers, again, things that are closest to you are going to be a heavier line. So we could go heavy, medium, light for now. The other thing is you're going to do is you're actually going to draw a side elevation, right? Oh, looks like that's not joined. Hold on, let's try drawing that. Okay, so you can also have the side elevation so you have the depth. So I'm not going to draw that right now, but I can measure this real quick, and it's about 3/4 inch depth for the one versus 2 inches for the other. And this thing's overall about, 2 3/4, right? So this is what we're dealing with here. This sort of lip and then this lip, right? Now I'm gonna do this two ways. I'm gonna first show you how to do this. Sorry, otherwise we'll have too much background noise. I'm gonna show you first how to just do this as simple extrusions and subtractions. So we're gonna be working with extrude, okay, and then we're going to be working with a subtract, and then we're going to look at fillet edge. Okay, so a lot of these commands will sound very obvious, and they're going to work like we anticipate them to work. So the first thing I'm going to do is get comfortable working in 3D. All right, so what does that mean? So if we go to view, we can go to 3D views, and we can pick a sort of vantage point. So if we go like southwest, we're looking from the southwest, yeah? So we're from southwest looking northeast, yeah? So this has a similar orientation the way we look at the top view. So this is probably something new. I mean, the one thing I love about 3D is people like, I have such a hard time with 3D. Everything around you is in 3 dimensions. So when I hear like I don't understand 3D, I'm wondering if I need to call an ambulance because you're having a stroke. So your world is in 3D, yes. So this should not be it shouldn't be difficult. It's actually should be 2D should be more difficult, but somehow it's not the case. I don't know why. Maybe. What's that? Yeah, but everything is 3D. Except TV. Maybe you guys watch too much television. That's the problem. So we have to start thinking about how we start modeling in 3D, right? So what does that mean? We're ultimately going to produce something that doesn't have a thickness, right? It's just the surface, right? There is a thickness here, but it's very thin. It's not, we're not even concerned about it. So we're trying to represent this curved geometry. There's many ways of doing this. I'm going to show you the most obvious. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the overall sort of volume. Like, what is the volume of this piece? Okay. So what we're going to do is extrude this deep enough to include our bottom surface. So if our overall was 2 3/4, we're going to extrude about 3 inches. I like to work always negative. The top is 0. Everything else is down. Okay? So we're working negative Z. So I'm going to go ahead and type in extrude. And extrude is going to be our first command. Extrude allows us to extrude something. So like if if we look at mullions and we say they're extruded, That means they've been, extruded through some type of dye, right? It's like making pasta, yeah? Pasta is extruded. Right? You ever make your own pasta? Or how about Play-Doh? How many people have played with the Play-Doh that you squish something and it extrudes out, right? So we're extruding this. So the language should seem similar. So what I do is I select that edge. I want to extrude this down, okay? So we'll do that -3 inches. Okay? So this is extruded down -3. The next thing is I want to extrude this top down, right? So this thing has like a lip that goes in a certain distance. The one thing that I sort of failed to mention that I should have offsetted it twice. So we actually need another offset here of another of a 1/16 because there's the sort of draft that we call. So I'm going to offset this 1/16 of an inch. Oh, if I can type. And then maybe 1/16 is too much. Let's do it 32nd for now. Okay, so we'll assume it's a subtle draft inward, right? We're going to use this. We're going to look at a couple other ways of doing this. And we'll see how this works. So that's an extrude. Now this shape is 3/4 down, yeah? There's many ways we can do it. We can move it down, right? So we can do a move command. Select this edge. Type in 0, 0, 0 for start. And our second point, if we want to move a negative, is what? Yeah, but how do we do that with coordinates? Negative, right? 0.75 inches. Okay, so that's now negative. XYZ, right? XYZ. 0, 0, 0. We moved it from 0, 0, 0 to 0, 0, Z, -0.75 inches. So that gives us the sort of draft now, right? We have the outer shape and we have the inner shape. What we can do next is a command called loft. Loft lets us take two profiles and make an extrude out of them. So we type in loft and we select the first edge, the second edge, hit enter, and we get a lofted shape. So first edge, second edge, enter, and then enter. And now we have a lofted shape. Okay, that gives us that slight taper. You see that?
How does it determine the slope?
Because we have one profile that's high and one that's low. And that lower one is smaller because we offset it. Okay, pay attention. See this?
Oh, yeah.
This is offsetted in.
Ah, okay.
Okay? Keep your eyes on the screen. Don't close your eyes.
How you create the taper?
That's how we create the taper. Okay? 0, 0, 0, 0, -0.75 inches. Loft.
Oh, you choose the other one, the tape is going to be the other direction, right? You choose the wrong line.
Loft connects them. You can go from bottom up. Doesn't matter. Okay?
And why is everything blue now?
Because I have that layer heavy. So I probably want to make a new layer and call it 3D. Not a bad idea. And maybe make it another color. So anytime, because we had that layer current. Okay. So the next thing now, this thing is actually the opening is 0.75 down. So what do I do to get that 0.75 down? Move. And what do I type next? 0, 0 is my start. 0, 0, positive 3.5, right? Negative what? 3.5? I want to move it 0.75. I'm trying to confuse you guys. 3/4, right? So now this is sitting there. Making sense? So if this has a taper as well, we then have to offset it, right? And let's go 16th on this. Well, let's go 1/8 inch on this because it's a lot deeper. And again, this isn't a forensics exercise. We're just trying to, get used to the geometry, right? So we got to move this down. This is actually 2 inches lower. So I move this here. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, negative 2 inches. Type in loft. Pick this. Pick that. Enter. Okay. So we have extrude and we have loft. Now let's go ahead and view this. As realistic, and we want to do a couple things. I just want to verify that everything is solid. Okay, so everything is solid. So we can look at these things, visual styles. We were in wireframe. We can go to hidden line and so forth. All right, so we know they're all solids. So what we're going to start doing next are going to be subtractions. Okay. So we draw 2D geometry, we extrude it, or we make lofts, and now we start cutting away the stuff. All right, and we're going to start subtracting. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract this from this. Okay, so I type in subtract. All right, look at someone else's, or look there. Subtract. We select our object that we want to keep, enter, select the object we want to subtract, and then hit enter. Okay? If we look at this now as we can't really see anything happen, but if we look at it as hidden, we can start to see the cutout now. You see how it's cut out? You can't see that? I heard no. Yeah, shaded is hard to see with green. Try shade it with edges. See that now? See all the edges? So this is inward. So if we spin this thing around, this is we can see in there, yeah? So now we need to subtract this guy away. So we're going to do subtract. Enter. Select what we want to keep. Enter. Select what we want to subtract. Enter. Now, it looks like I'm probably picking that line. Let's try that again with wireframe. So subtract what we want to keep. Enter. What we want to get rid of. Enter. Let's see if that worked. Should work fine, but so there's that hole. I'm going to change color. Green is not maybe the best color. Is that better? Can you see that better? Better or worse? Let's go with yellow. Okay, so you see this now? Yes? Okay, are these all hard edges everywhere? No, right? So we're going to use now our next command which is going to be fillet edge. Fillet edge will allow us to fillet the edge. So we can do inside edges and outside edges. So let's start with this edge here. And we can see all of a sudden it's like some huge fillet. So that's the wrong radius, right? So we'll hit fillet edge. We're going to click on radius. And we're going to set it. It looks like it's about a 1/16 of an inch. And I'm picking the edges. Now we can use the wireframe, might be easier, but we can use this view cube to spin around. And then we hit enter, and then enter. And that fillets the edge. Okay, we can do this for inside edges. So that's too big. So we can do another radius. Let's try 1/64 there. A little tighter. I think I got it. Did I get them all? No, maybe not. Let me switch this back to wireframe. I know I'm trying to make it easy for you guys to see, but wireframe is easier to work in, so you can see everything. Just change the radius to 1/64. Okay, enter, enter, and that's filleted. Okay, so we can do this all day. We can do the top edge. So there's going to be no hard edges on this thing, yeah? And then we can do down here. We'll change the radius. We'll make that radius actually bigger. Okay. So if we look at this now as shaded, so this is visual, we can do shaded with edges. We have all our nice curved geometry. Now this doesn't represent this piece. I mean, there's a lot more ins and outs, right? And some of them are more difficult than others. So some of your extrusions might be, you know, interesting and funny shapes, right? So using loft will work, even with stuff like where it's different on the bottom versus the top. You might have to figure out like how to create sort of a maybe two more than just two sections, three. But once we're done with this, to get the effect that looks like it's a surface, we take the entire thing and explode this into individual surfaces, and then we erase all the extra surfaces, which is basically all the outside geometry. Okay. So now it looks like it's a lip, right? Looks like it's a tray. And then we can take all of this and rejoin it. I'm trying to think. I guess with surfaces, yeah, I'm trying to, that's to join lines. I'm trying to remember for a surface. So let's try to, so AutoCAD doesn't let us join with just the, yeah, because after we explode it, we want to bring it back together. We don't have to, but it would be nice to. The command is eluding me. So we're going to type in union, and we'll reunion these guys. Okay, so it's good to have one surface so you don't actually accidentally erase something. So from here, what's next? So the next thing is to get the output. So after you do this, we're going to look at, next is going to be sort of rendering. So we're going to make a quick little material and then render this out, and then we're going to make some line work of this as well, and then we're going to overlay the two. Okay, so we're going to go to render, and we're going to go to material browser, and we're going to go also to render material editor. Down here we have, we can make our new material. So we're going to say plastic. So down here there's a little plus plastic. And then we can call this something. So this is going to be 170, or let's do arc 170 plastic. We can give it a color. If it's polished, glossy, matte, let's say glossy. Let's actually use polished. And then we can say if it's plastic, transparent. So if you have something that's transparent, let's make it transparent for now. And then we have different tints we can give it. We can tint it. We can, don't worry about bump and don't worry about relief, but just so you have some options. So once that's done, if we look under our editor, so we've added this now as arc 170 plastic. If we do a search over here for arc, we'll get arc. We should get arc 170 plastic. There it is. Okay. And if we click that, we'll get the editing. So it's in our material. This is our editor. It's in our material browser. What we want to do then is select this shape. So we need to have it in our browser here. And we can see that's arc 170. We right click and we say select object, assign to selected. There's a lot of steps here. I'm recording this though, so we have to make our material here. We find it here. We do a search to find it in our material browser. We right click and say assign to selection. So we assign it. So now this material has been assigned to this. We're then going to go, we're going to pick a view. This view cube is great, so we can close this now. The view cube is great for picking a view, so like a southeast or one of these sort of isometrics. And then we're going to go to View Render. And we're going to go to Advanced Render Settings. This is where we set up our render. Now, output size is going to be our resolution. Let's talk about resolution a little bit. So, our screen resolution probably is 1920 by 1180, right, or 1080. So, where do you guys hear? Where do you guys know that number from? Huh? TV, because you guys are 2D. You should know your TV, right? It's 1080p, right? Or what does P stand for? Progressive. No, P stands for progressive. That means that every frame is full. Interlaced means, if you guys know how TV works, it's sending like frames, right? Interlaced means half the frame is there and one versus the other half, and it's so fast your eye can't pick that up. You ever see someone video camera a TV screen is flickering? Because that's why it's interlaced. So the cameras, our eyes aren't that fast, but cameras are. There you go.
Is that why there's lines? Like if you take a picture?
Yeah, you get lines because it's interlaced. So P means progressive. There's no lines. Right, so 1080p. So that means 1920 by 1080. That's a decent resolution. How do we judge resolution? We haven't talked about this, so it's a good time. Pixels, right? So 640 by 480 is how many pixels there are. Typically, if we're looking at a magazine, how many pixels do you think are within an inch? So a magazine is going to be one of your lower resolution print. We're depending on the quality. I mean, the old days it was probably like 150 pixels per inch. That's like newspaper to like maybe some lower quality newspapers now are probably at 360 pixels per inch. We typically are going to we're going to be in a range from like 150 to 300 pixels per inch. All right. So what does that mean? You need to know what your output is, right? So if we're outputting 11 by 17, and I told you I want it to be 150, let's just say 100 pixels per inch. What's my resolution? 11 by 17 inches, 11 inches by 17 inches, and I want you to be at 100 pixels per inch. What is my pixel count? 11 times 100. I said 100. So that add 2 zeros. So 1100 by 1700, right? So that would be printing out at 100 pixels per inch, 11 by 17. Not really high res. If we double that, we're at 2200 by 3400, right? So that's pretty high res. It's not crazy high, but it's like medium. So what's the downfall with kicking up the resolution? Takes a long time, right? So if you have your client coming in 10 minutes and you want to do a 3-hour rendering, it's not going to work out for you, right? So you gotta have that balance and flexibility. We can go to our output, say specify custom, and we can specify the custom. So say let's just do 1100. Sorry, the width is going to be 1700 by 1100 for right now. Okay, and we hit OK. Now that's going to be our resolution. So if I go now to view render and I hit render, we can see it has a resolution and it's taking some time, it's thinking, and now it's starting to render. Where is our material? So there's some default lighting. For some reason, it took it yellow. I don't know why. I wonder if we have two. We might have two there. The union might have created a double. But that doesn't make sense. All right, so that's our final. Let's see what's going on. Why we're still getting yellow? Yeah, didn't do something. Did something weird with our union. So it looks like we have a double. I'm gonna go ahead and just move this for right now. Or actually, I'm going to select this and then sorry. Yeah, we won't be able to do that. Let's go ahead and put this on its own layer. Just don't want to delete something. Make a different color. So I was seeing that yellow. You shouldn't be seeing the yellow. So somehow there's double layer. So I'm going to select this, switch this to Union, and I'm going to go back to here and make this, can turn everything off. Okay. That looks better. Now if I render this, we'll see when we render it. Looks like that top edge didn't Union. That's fine. I think Union maybe failed us. So that's starting to look good. So what's the problem right now? Yeah, so my background, right? Well, it's starting to look like plastic. So if we're somewhat happy with that, next thing I'm going to do is go to View, Render, Render Environments, and we should have a. Looks okay. This is nope, not Render Environments. Sorry, View, Render, Render Settings. We should have a. We should have a background. It's our resolution. That looks okay. That was our render dialog. Hold on. Mapping is fine. Render environments didn't give it to us. Sorry, guys. So we type in background and we're able to change the color of the background. In this case, it might be too light. Yeah, it looks like some of our stuff did not join or did not union. Well enough. So let me type in background again. Color, let's go darker. So we probably don't even want to render it out this high. Yeah, it looks like all our surfaces aren't there, just the edges. You guys see that? We just have all our fillets. So let's go ahead and turn on our other 3D shapes. We're going to go ahead and select all of this and then make sure we apply this material to all. So I right click, assign to selected. So let's re-render this now. So now we have all our surfaces there. Yeah, we're getting some weird artifacts. So you know, it starts to read like the tray. We can edit this. So if we come here and click on the edit, we can change this from transparent to solid. You know, we can leave it white. Zoom in. Let's go ahead and render this again. Starts to look like it a little bit, huh? So all these little dots, those are all the processors. So this is like a 8-core processor. So each core has a region. If you're wondering what those are. And you get some nice sort of detail in there. Okay, once this is done, we're going to save it. So there's a file, save. And I'm just going to throw it on the desktop right now. So there's different image formats. You can take a Targa. Take a Targa, TGA. A TGA. This has the highest format. And we'll see if it has an alpha. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is going to be render, some arc, Week07 render. Just leave by default. Hit OK. And then we can close this. So this has been rendered. Okay. The next thing we can do is if we go to File, I'm going to switch this now to hidden line. So we see this. So we see all our edge conditions. And then we can go to plot. We can pick a window. And we want to make sure we're plotting as a PDF. We can preview this. Right now it's actually showing it as a render. So let's change a few. Let me do one more thing. I think we have to do it as a... Let's do this again. Yeah, why does it show a hidden? We should be able to change the... That's interesting. Let me do something real quick. So what we need to do to get the hidden lines out of here, we need to set up a viewport for this. All right. So this is actually good. So we're going to set up an 11 by 17, get this thing sort of centered where we want it, and then we're going to make a PDF out of this that eventually we're going to put together in Illustrator with our rendering. Okay. So bear with me. So first step is we go to layout. Remember we change our layout. So we need to go to Page Setup Manager, modify. We switch this to Adobe PDF. We change this to 11 by 17 or tabloid. We want this to be a layout, landscape. We can pick our line weights. We want everything to sort of print out black, right? So either A, you bring your stuff with, or you got to come in here and change this. So we're using different line weights. In this case, we probably want to use one line weight. But I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Let's just get this set up and then we'll go from there. So let's preview this. So starting to look like something. We'll hit OK. Close it. We're going to expand this. Remember, make it bigger. We're going to go to PS. MS. Now we don't have to use a scale. We can just get this on the sheet. And then we want to go to properties, select this edge, and we want the shade plot to be legacy hidden. Okay. So now, so what this is set up, we're going to go back real quick to here, and we might need to adjust the line weight. So this is where we might take everything and make it all the same. We can leave the layers where they're at. That's fine. So let's just leave that the way it is. We'll go to layout 2. We're actually, when we go to plot, we're going to expand this, go to our ACAD, pick all our colors that we're using, and then use a thin line weight. Okay, so let's start with 0.15 actually, and then we'll preview that, and that looks probably good enough for now. Okay, and then we'll hit enter, and then we'll go ahead and print this, and we'll save this on our desktop for now. So there it is, and if we zoom in, we can see that we have vector geometry, right? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and open this up into Illustrator. Do you guys remember using Illustrator in this class? Because we haven't. So I'm introducing you to a new software. How many people have used Illustrator? A few of you. So Illustrator is going to be important for you guys. Why is Illustrator important? Because it's vector based. It's just like AutoCAD. We can go back and forth from AutoCAD to Illustrator all day. Illustrator is a way to modify. We don't have to do it in Illustrator, but I want to show you Illustrator, and then I'll do it in AutoCAD, okay? So when Illustrator is out of your comfort zone, we'll do it in AutoCAD. When Illustrator is in your comfort zone, we'll do it in Illustrator, okay? So better to know more than less. More is less. What? More is more, sorry. Yes is more, that's... This is all being recorded. You're being recorded too. So we have this now. A couple things with Illustrator. When it comes in, it's like not right side up. The easiest thing to do that is document setup, edit artboard, and we want to edit our artboard to be 11 by 17. Unfortunately, right now it's in points, so we need to change that. Under edit, preferences, units, we'll change our general to inches. Hit OK. Now it's in inches. Yay. Width 17, height 11. Okay. So document, edit artboard, change our units 11 by 17. We can then take all of this, select everything. If we go to a corner, we get a rotate command. Hold down the shift key, we can spin that up. Now it's in the right orientation. Yes? I just opened the PDF. Yeah, PDFs are normal file format for Illustrator. So this is a trick. Like, say you get a map, someone gives you a map and it's like in a PDF format. You can take that PDF, open it in AutoCAD, in Illustrator, and then save it out as a DWG. So we can save this as a DWG. So we can export this as a DWG, and it'll open up in AutoCAD. I take maps that people put up, like whatever, if it's for a competition, and they'll be locked. Like PDFs will have like a passcode. PDFs are the least secure passcode. There's like encryption software that's out there that's free. So you decrypt it, you open it. I have maps of New York that are like, I can bring it to AutoCAD. I don't have to trace anything. Yeah, Adobe, I don't know why Acrobat is like so low security. But you can decrypt those pretty easily and then use it. So if you're making, city models or something and you want to make like quick 3D, like, yeah, all day. So we can take this and adjust line weight. So the great thing is here, as I can come in here and like change the stroke weight. Like say I want to make it thinner, so I lighten everything up. What I can do also is come here and file and place. Before I do that, I'm working with layers. I want to make a new layer, and I'm going to call this image layer. And I'm going to place an image here now. File, place. I typically can go right away and place that image that we saved, but I saved it as a targa. So I have to introduce you to another software, which is Photoshop. So how many people know Photoshop? You need to know Photoshop. Download Photoshop. It takes you about 5 minutes to learn the software. Yeah. 30-day free trial. You don't need 30 days to learn it. Photoshop, how many people take pictures? No one take, some people don't. So Photoshop is a great software for photo editing. We're going to open up our rendering. So there's our rendering. And we can do a couple things to this. I want to see, no, it doesn't have it. We can do image, adjust, brightness, contrast. So we can give this some brightness and contrast. So you see how it's a little punchier now? Yes? I just did it on there, yeah. So I hit OK. The other thing is I might not want all the black background, so I can select that using a magic wand. W. And then I can go ahead and go to background, click on this, hit OK. So this turns it into a layer, and hit delete, and it wipes it out. I can then take this and move this thing around. So I have this set up now. I feel pretty good about it. I can take this now and bring it into Illustrator. So I can save this as a JPEG. So I'll save it as a JPEG. Go back to Illustrator, File, Place, find that JPEG I just made, and then place it in. Now what you see here is the scale is wrong. There's no magic here, it's just finesse. I scale this until it fits the line drawing. I say, John, that's insane. That might take like 3 days. It will not. You guys will get good at this. I'm using the arrows to nudge it around. Now I could have been a little bit craftier and set up sort of guidelines that would help me, especially when we rendered, but I'm a pretty patient person. We're about there. I think the height, like, it looks like it's the same height just by illusion. That's just pure luck. Alright, so that's me lining that up. So I have this on its own layer, so I can turn that on and off. I'm going to select this. I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit heavier. Say 0.5. Turn that back on. So this is sort of an overlay. Line drawing. Lines on top of render, yeah? And then I can go ahead and save this. I can print it as a PDF. Export it out as a PDF again. switch my paper size to 11 by 17 because that's what we have, and say print, and it'll make a PDF. And this is maybe edit. And now this is our PDF. I'm a little bit off. I didn't spend a lot of time. And then we can print this, right? Now, if you don't want to do this in Illustrator or Photoshop, this is going to be the workaround, right? So for here, when we rendered this, and we save it, we're going to go ahead and save it straight as a JPEG. So don't save it as a target, just save it as a JPEG. So we'll let this render again. Yeah, so yeah, render in AutoCAD. Now we're going to save this as a JPEG because we can bring a JPEG straight into AutoCAD. So we save this, close this. Then we're going to go ahead. We're going to go to layout 1 or layout 2. So we have this laid out already here, right? This might be a little tricky to see if this works. Insert raster image. So we're going to attempt to insert the raster image right into our sheet. And if we first test we're going to do, so we're just going to lay this over the top right now. The issue we might have, yeah, the issue is going to lay on top. Let's see if I can get the workaround to work here. We might have to make another window and then send it behind. Because we can't just lay it, because it'll lay flat, like it's not going to be in the right orientation. Maybe the workaround won't work. I'm thinking, guys. So if you're having a problem with sort of working in the Illustrator, just after you render, you just kick this down so it's faster. So after you render this, just go ahead and save it. And from there, you don't even need Illustrator. You can you can open it up in photo viewer, right? And you can print it. Okay? So you don't even need to go into Photoshop. You should be able to print a basic JPEG. Okay? But for those of you that want to get into Illustrator and Photoshop, you can. This modeling part, again, it shouldn't take long. You first have to draw it, obviously, in 2D. Then you have to start doing the extrusions, the lofts, subtractions, the filleted edges, do the material, render it. I mean, we're going to be working on this after the midterm as well. So the idea for you guys is to work on this. You can start today. We still have an hour, but you can work on this up until for the next 2 weeks, yeah? All right? So it's going to be important because I think 3D modeling, this gives you a good sort of understanding of working in 3D. Get used to using this view cube. I mean, this is the only time this thing becomes helpful. In the sense of like moving around your shape. You can also click and drag this thing. So this is the 3D orbit. If you ever get confused where you're at, you can always reset it. Okay? So this is shift middle button. Same thing. So shift middle button. Click. Okay. This is eventually, 3D is going to be important, especially if we start building stuff in 3D, which is eventually what you're going to be doing if you take Revit. So
Oh, with the 3D printing?
we're not doing any 3D printing here
No,
now.
I mean, you said that we will build 3D models with
That's
Revit.
what Revit is.
Revit is 3D.
It's called 3D model.
Oh, on computer.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you build a 3D digital model. That's the future, unfortunately.
Why unfortunately?
Because it's a lot more work to build a 3D model. Okay? All right, let's stop there.